Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of One Vision. This is Theo, your host for today's episode. Joining us today is Louis Columbus, a wonderful friend whom unfortunately I have yet to meet in real life, a prominent columnist. You definitely have come across his work through either Forbes, VentureBeat, and I guess X or Twitter in the old days, LinkedIn, and amongst everything else. So thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, Theo. It's great to finally connect with you.
It, it's been quite a few years,
Yeah, it has
right?
been.
So, as with many people, for those of you who are watching, will probably understand we connected through online digital social media platform and the old days was Twitter. And Louis has always been so nice and so supportive of everything I did. And, I was just starting out and I was writing and you were always so supportive of my work. So I appreciate it. And thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for joining me. So for those who are tuning in and who might not be familiar with what you write, can you give us a quick recap on what you've been working on? Because you write a bunch of stuff on AI, cloud, on cybersecurity, amongst everything else.
Sure. I predominantly focus on the intersection of AI and cybersecurity today. I write for VentureBeat, and I'm the senior contributor there. So I work quite a bit with the editors there and the publisher on the future direction of AI and cybersecurity. I also occasionally write about AI and the chip race in AI with NVIDIA and Broadcom and the dynamics in that market. So I will also cover that area. Also on LinkedIn, I cover a lot about agentic AI and all other aspects around technology and smart cities and the work going on with regard to bringing greater connectivity into a smart city kind of an architecture in the future of 5G. I have a lot of years of experience in manufacturing. I also write about manufacturing and ERP, not so much in the public realm, but also within my professional realm of working in Delmia Works. So I occasionally write about ERP in that space, but I've had a lot of experience in that. Former analyst at AMR Research before they were acquired. That goes way back. But that's the reason I write is it's just so intellectually stimulating and to continue to stay new and continue to challenge yourself to continue to improve and learn new things.
So there's a difference between why you write and then being really good at what you write. And I would count you as the latter because there are a lot of things I want to write. My head is always like, oh, there's this thing, there's this, I'm scatterbrained. But then when I actually sit down to it, it's way harder than it looks. And I admire you for that because you keep publishing new articles. What are some of the favorite pieces that you have written over the years? Because recently you did a brilliant piece on agentic AI. Looking back at where you were talking about all the different topics, are there some that jumped out at you?
One of the interesting things that I find going on right now is this whole dynamic around shadow AI, precipitated by, of course, these AI companies coming out with ChatGPT and all these other elements. What's really fascinating is how many shadow AI apps are out there and how sophisticated they are with the use of APIs. I have a Signal account, so people share things with me, and analysts will say under condition of anonymity that we have a shadow AI app that we share in our team and it saves us 7 hours a week. But they've gone to IT and said, please, can we please increase the usability of our apps, or even can we build these apps? But there's, it's an interesting dynamic. It's speed, but it's also, I think it's also the need to be able to get the most value out of all these APIs. And of the CISOs I've talked to, like the CISO over at Stillwater Analytics, I did an interview with him, and he had by far the best approach. The Clearwater Analytics interview on VentureBeat is worth checking out if you're interested in this whole aspect of how to control shadow AI. So I find that interesting. The pace of AI adoption in cybersecurity is like lightning fast. This is like the most exciting time in tech I've ever seen with the model development and building out apps. I've built a couple of apps on my own. A battle card builder, and I built it in Replit, and I've built a couple of different configurators just to see what they could do. And I just find the whole area fascinating. And I can see where it's addictive. I mean, to build an app and you get going in it and you get baby steps of value and you can really get going on it. And I've been really impressed with. I brought a repless database into this prototype I built, and the performance jumped like fourfold. Learning by doing in this era is unbelievably fast. It's phenomenal. And I've really gotten an appreciation for Python. My daughter's a PhD student at Johns Hopkins. I was sitting on her couch in Baltimore in her condo, and I was working on some competitive comparisons for my job. And I said, "Yeah, I really want to do a spider graph." And she's like, "Dad, you just get Python to do it." She goes, "Here's a Python routine." And so she was like teaching me Python on her couch, and I'm like, she goes, "Yeah, just go into Colab, just run the Python code, and then you'll get this, this spider graph of these competitors." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." So we ran it and it worked. She's like a Python wizard. So I picked up a lot from her and started to use that more and more in my writing as well. So learn Python and then also learn how to use Colab and start building your own apps, experiment with it. It's an incredible learning experience. To stay intellectually challenged, I think, is extremely important to stay growing intellectually, given how fast things are moving. And the best way to learn is by doing. Jump in and just build.
I notice my kids pick things up so quickly without even me showing them anything. I think the way kids grow up nowadays, they're so connected with each other, with the outside world. Well, clearly because of the internet and everything else, the lifestyle is so different compared to when we were growing up. Imagine the speed of information travel back then versus now.
It's phenomenal.
And earlier, when you were talking about shadow I think it was not so long after ChatGPT wrote out and Samsung engineers were feeding their code into ChatGPT and trying to use that to debug. And that story remained in my head every time when we think about shadow IT, we think about cybersecurity, we think about all these tools that can help us with our day to day lives. But isn't it a balance between trying new things, innovating new ways of doing versus keeping everything else safe?
Absolutely. You're not alone. Boards of directors talk about the Samsung incident still today. A lot of CISOs that I talk to tell me their boards bring up Samsung immediately. The undercurrent about this OpenAI aspect and being able to contain it, the level of innovation happening with open source LLMs is truly remarkable right now. And I think that's really an exciting area of cybersecurity because you have groups of startups who are doing amazing things with their headcount, and they have built this like shield within ChatGPT and all these different tools. What's going on with open architectures and open source LLMs and the proliferation and the innovation that's happening in cybersecurity, evidenced by the ability to stop some of these inadvertent errors of people sharing too much data in ChatGPT and oversharing. It's really inspiring to see these people and what they can do. It's phenomenal. It all gets back to the fact that this is probably the most fascinating area of tech that I've ever seen. It's really exciting to see all these new models come out, test drive these models, push these models hard. At VentureBeat, we have great writers like Carl Frenzen, Michael Nunez, Amelia David. Those are our core AI writers, and we really exercise these models quite a bit. Every once in a while, I'll get an assignment to test drive like a new Gemini model, like I did last year, to create an entire spreadsheet and automate an entire spreadsheet analysis and chart analysis. And I got a lot of good feedback on that. The best pieces that you write are the ones where people come back and go, wow, that really saved me a lot of time. Or I was thinking about that in my product anyway. Or I was thinking about doing a startup based on that, and your post convinced me to take the risk to build a startup. So serving other people and giving them the courage and the belief that they could do it is probably the best part of writing. And that's the most rewarding part, when people come back and say, because you did this data or you wrote about this, we've decided to go in that direction.
That's why I like to read what you write, because you bring passion to what you write and you support that with numbers. You do it in a way that normal people like me can actually read and understand. So
Thank you.
storytelling with data
Appreciate
is a very tough thing to do. And you do it with so much grace, and it's just wonderful to read.
We get into weekly debates at VentureBeat, like, do you really need to have all those links in there? I'm like, yes, I
Yes.
think, yeah, yes, I think I do. It's because the readers, the cybersecurity readers, they love data.
Mhm.
And I grew up in an environment, and when I started writing, I didn't want to veer in the direction of blogging in 2010 to opinionated data because I only have opinions about ERP because I've been an ERP analyst, or I've been in enterprise software and I have opinions, but I've never actually bought one, you know? And I was like, no, I want to go. I love data. I just love what data will tell you. And I love the story that statistics tell you. And if you pull back and you look at data across a landscape, the landscape is almost like a painting. And that painting, the data are the colors in the painting, and it tells you a story. And that's what I love writing about data so much. I feel like if you're going to sit down and write, bring your best energy. Don't phone it in. If I could bring my best energy, the intensity, and bring that into something, then the reader's going to know it and the voice will be there and it'll be true. It's just a passion of mine that I really like doing. And it's just like breathing to me. And learning is so crucial and it's moving so quick.
It is.
And that's a way to stay, cognitively young, something I'm extremely focused on. Staying cognitively young is really important.
Well, staying
Um,
cognitively young and using your experience to build on it and tell a good story to inform people is important. One thing you were just talking about data storytelling, and you say it's like painting, that it's such a beautiful way of describing it. But all of that, in the center of it, there is something important that makes people read what you write and make people trust what you write is trust, authenticity, and backing up what you write with data. I do want to
yeah.
ask you, what role do you think AI plays in the work that we do? Do you think
I
it's
think it's
helpful?
research.
Is it
Yeah,
making us
I think it's
dumber?
research mostly. I think it's aggregating data. Every week, I put together a pretty comprehensive newsletter on the ERP market, the competitive dynamics of
Hmm.
the ERP market. And to a large extent, that's automated with Python scripts. And it's gathering a lot of different data. And then I write the executive summary by hand. But a lot of that is aggregating massive amounts of data because the ERP market is just so congested
Hmm.
right now. I do use a Python script. I have a series of matrices, but in my personal experience, AI has never been able to write a tight lead or a tight hook. Not the one that you really want, that you're really passionate about, that you could get up in front of somebody and read it and it came from your heart, you know? And I've never seen AI generate a tight lead and hook that I was satisfied with. I think it's a good research tool. Even the most advanced models, they make mistakes, there's hallucinations. They don't sound like you. It doesn't capture the essence of who you are and the voice. And I think the voice is so critical to speak in your own cadence and your own language. But I think it's perfectly okay for research. And I think it's good to even bounce ideas off of it. I will take a finished article and I'll put it in Perplexity before I submit them and go, okay, now rank this on quality, value for security leaders and CISOs, and accuracy. And I'll just go, okay, Perplexity, just be harsh. And it will be harsh. And it'll come back and it'll give me a score. And it's like, if it doesn't get like over 8.5, it's like, I don't submit it. So I
Wow.
use it for quality control. I submit code as well as my articles to Perplexity and I ask to critique it. We also have 7 values at VentureBeat that are 7 core values to our editorial vision. So I created a chatbot under ChatGPT, and that chatbot has got all the 7 values. So if I get an idea for a story, or I'll get a completed story that I've written completely by hand, and I'll go, does this align to the 7 values? And Jess is our cybersecurity persona, and would Jess care about this? And it'll come back and critique it, and then I'll go back and rewrite it, and I'll try to bring more things in. But I use it as a quality control check.
That's actually it's a good way. A couple of weeks ago, I was running late doing kid stuff, and before we left, I sent a bunch of PDFs in. And I'm like, analyze this for me. And when I came back a few hours later, I looked through the stuff, and it was quoting the wrong numbers from the wrong
Yeah.
reports from the wrong years. And I remember sitting there thinking, all right, So I want to use these tools because I want to see where I can get the best value out of it. And right now I
Right.
use it mostly for titles for blogs that I write. Okay, give me a couple of titles or a podcast. But aside from them, like there's got to be more I can do with it. I didn't think about the QC part. That's great.
Yeah. Perplexity is very good at that. I also build battle cards as
Mm-hmm.
well. And generating battle cards is laborious. There are certain companies I know so well I can build a battle card from memory, especially in the ERP space because I've been in the ERP space so long. But when it comes to new competitors, I will write a Python script, and I have a Python script that I know works really, really well for, let's say, supply chain optimization. And then I would go through and do that, but then also you have to have a human in the middle, a loop. Python calling out to APIs to build a battle card, you get good data that way. I am seeing better results than just going in and saying, ChatGPT, I need to know the strengths and weaknesses of this given company. Python, in conjunction with APIs and building the logic in there, it's industrial strength. And it really is pretty impressive what you can do. I have a Python script that will run every week and ping everything and build out every Saturday morning. Then by Saturday, like at 10, it's all done. And I can see everything going on in AI cybersecurity. Saturday mornings are like Python mornings.
So let me ask you
Uh,
this. If you are not doing what you're doing right now for VentureBeat, if you're not writing
yeah.
your Python scripts to see the news for AI cybersecurity, what would you be writing? If you could write about anything, would you still write about the same thing? I'm curious.
I think manufacturers are really struggling with Gen AI. And I would write the definitive book on how to use generative AI in manufacturing environments and not the Bosches of the world and the top 100 manufacturers of the world because they have like armies of AI people, and I would look at the mid tier of the market and the low end of the market because I meet so many manufacturers when I travel and they really need to know cybersecurity and they really, really need to know what AI really means to them beyond the hype. And I would really research that and do something to serve them. But I would really write a definitive book about cybersecurity because a lot of them don't have cybersecurity insurance. And the stories I hear about ransomware, where attackers can get to the cybersecurity insurance policies and they will max out the payout of the cybersecurity insurance policy for small manufacturers. So, I mean, my heart really goes out to these small manufacturers because I meet them and it's like their whole
Mm-hmm.
family business. And so I would do that and I would research that really pretty heavily. But I would also build a series of prototypes about configurators that were free, that were open source, and had open weight models. And I would look at where that would go. I wanted to have a series of apps so people could just go to free apps. Like they're reading the book and then you can fill out the survey, and the survey will tell you what you need at a bare minimum to protect your plant and to protect your endpoint. And even if you have a server in your building, that doesn't mean you're going to get hacked. So I would want to do that and then capture that data of them doing that, but a hybrid of a guidebook and apps.
When I ask you if you can write anything in the world, you still go back to writing about tech stuff before you go. I do want to
Yeah.
ask you one thing. How should the
Yeah.
next generation prepare for this digital AI led future that is so quickly evolving all the time? What would your advice be to them?
As a parent, first of all, independent of technology, always be in your kid's corner and don't be their harshest critic, be their biggest fan. And especially if you have a daughter, it's rocky with social media out there. I think the world's extremely competitive and that for anyone coming into their generation, becoming the strongest they can be with their innate skills at the intersection of what they're passionate about and they're best at. Use AI to enunciate your strengths, to accentuate your strengths, because that'll take you far. I would tell parents is don't be afraid of AI, use it as a learning tool and encourage your children to find their innate strengths and make the most of those strengths and to continue to pursue that aggressively because AI is such a force multiplier with learning and even to build their own apps and to get over the fear of building apps and dive in and learn about math and find the beauty in statistics, how statistics tell a story. And, and if they happen to be artists, then embrace the artistic aspects. The proliferation, the renaissance going on in AI around filmmaking right now is unbelievable. I think that every parent's job is to set their children up to win, do whatever it takes, because the world will knock them down. And every parent is got to be there to build up their confidence and to never be a critic. With my daughter, I always told her the world's really competitive and you have math skills, and don't ever let someone squelch that. The one thing is, you really need to teach your kids to believe in themselves by believing in them.
I like that
Yeah,
advice.
the best words you can ever tell a child is, I believe in you and you mean it. I believe in
Um,
you when you mean it. I'm far from someone to give parenting advice, but I can just tell you that every child needs to hear that. I believe in you. Of course, I love you. Baselines. But how does AI fit into all this? Use it as a tool to become stronger and more competitive. Use it as a tool to excel at what you want to do, what you want to be. And I think it's incumbent on every parent to stay out of the way, clear the lane, and let them do what they want. Let that natural skill come out and not try to force them into a mold. Uh,
and then catch them when they fall, when they need you. I mean, that's the best you can do. Well, thank you so much, my friend.
oh, you're
This
welcome.
has been a fascinating conversation because we start off with writing and data and AI, shadow AI, ERP, all the way to how to prepare the next generation to succeed. So
Yeah.
I love this, and I hope we can continue the conversation. I look forward to finally meeting you one day
Me too.
in one
Me
of the
too.
conferences or somewhere in the world. For everyone who's listening, do follow Louis. His articles is on VentureBeat. You cannot miss it. And until then, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of One Vision. We'll talk to you next week.